Welcome to episode 194 of the Fully In It podcast. I took the loveliest break away from the podcast for the last few weeks of summer and the beginning of school for my kids. In this episode, I'm simply going to be catching you up on life, sharing what I'm working on in business, my focus in home life, and thoughts for you about balancing home and business this school year. Are you ready? Let's go ahead and jump right in. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? I feel like so much life has happened since the last episode. Like it almost feels like a blur. And I don't know if this happens with you, right? But there's certain times of year that are they're busier. And I had it in my mind that the summer was going to be super relaxed. Like I love a slow and simple summer. It is not my season of a motherhood and business to have that. And I've had a lot of years that, it has been that. It has meant like slow days and going to the beach and playing at the park. But life was just different for us this summer. And so much has happened since the last episode. So here's kind of like a little bit of a recap. Kirk and I celebrated 18 years of marriage. We met when we were 20. And so we have spent literally half our lives together because we are 40, which is just nuts. And I would say that this is probably the happiest we have ever been. Like every marriage has its ups and downs. That's just completely normal. But I would say we're in an especially good rhythm, even with having, we currently have a 6-month-old. Our kids surprised us with a 5-course dinner at home for our anniversary. Like this blew us away. So they asked me if I would drive them to the grocery store, but not watch anything that they did. It was the cutest thing. So like I was not allowed to look as they went up and down the aisles, and, they put things in the basket. And then they had pooled their own money. They had planned everything ahead of time and like guesstimated how much they thought each thing would cost to make sure that they would have enough money. And then they spent like half the day cooking and prepping. And I kid you not, it really was a 5-course meal. They even had chilled sparkling water and made us little cocktails with lemon and like bitters, and I'm telling you, it was a top-notch experience, definitely 5 stars. And I told Kirk, I was like, gosh, I wish we could go out to this restaurant more often. They'd even dressed up like servers, and it was just, I don't know, it was just so special. It made my heart so happy that, they cared that much about us to do that. And so anyway, we were super blown away. Another really cool thing that has happened since the last time you and I talked is that my oldest, she does ballet, and she did a summer ballet intensive. I know I talked about this in another episode, and they had their end of the intensive like showcase, and that happened in mid-July. And what was really cool was that they had 2 ballerinas. What is a male ballerina? Do we know what this is? I don't even know if my daughter knows, but there was a male and a female from the Royal Ballet in London danced on stage with them. Like, how cool was that? I was totally freaking out. Like the whole show was phenomenal. And this is a new school for my daughter to attend, and I was just blown away. So that was just like my mama heart was so proud and so excited. And this is the same school that she is doing her pre-professional program in. So this school year, she is dancing 5 hours a day, 5 days a week at this school. So it's a bit intense, but she's, this is what she wants to do as an adult. I also met up digitally with Melissa, my old co-host from Cohesive Home. That is my very first podcast. So if you're not familiar with that, go look it up on, Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. And she and we recorded how many? 3 episodes, and then we're going to have 3 more coming. So we're going to do 6 for our next season. And those are going to start dropping every other week in September. But it was kind of hilarious because, I think our first episode it's something like near death experiences. Anyway, it's wild. It's wild when she shares her story and all that to say, you want to make sure that you catch that. But we had a ton of fun just catching up ourselves and getting on the mic together again because we first started Cohesive Home a decade ago. And so, it just feels really good. Then at the end of July, we road tripped to see family and we celebrated my mother-in-law's 70th birthday with a big party. And it was just so good to spend time with family and get out of Florida because it's so hot here. We came home from that trip and leaped immediately into the back to school rhythm. And so I had quite a bit on my to-do list that I knew would set me up for success this school year in my business and also with homeschooling my kids. One of those was hiring childcare for the school year, which I am benefiting from right now as I'm recording this episode. I'm like, feels so good to have help. I also worked on getting organized for back to school. So going through our homeschool supplies and making sure we have the books that we need and trying to just kind of clean up closets and declutter. And this is not always the easiest thing to do with 4 kids, especially with having a baby. Our closets, our cabinets and things are less organized than I would like. I would like things to be neater and, and more beautifully organized. But it's just not my season of life. And when I'm thinking about where to prioritize my time, it is not always going to be organizing or decluttering the closet. Even though the visuals do bother me, I'm one of those people where I feel best when my environment is clean and orderly. I just recognize that it's just not always where I can put my time. But I did start setting up like a regular grocery order to come every Friday. So like I have my meal plan on Thursday and then the grocery order comes on Friday. And that has really helped me to streamline my meal planning and making food and making sure that everybody is well fed because we are going a lot of different directions these days. Another thing that Kirk and I decided to do this year is to start hosting other families for dinner every Saturday night that we have free. So it's not every single Saturday night, but most of them. And the reason I wanted to do this was I just felt called to create more in-person community, to create a space where people feel at home, they feel cared for and loved, that we could get to know other people in our community and kind of have gather around the table, right? That's just such a beautiful thing to do. So I even made a spreadsheet for this in Google Sheets where I have all the dates listed. I have who's coming for dinner, what we're cooking, if there's any allergies, and then a space for notes. If something comes up in a meal, like I realized with the last family we hosted that we really need a second high chair so that, if friends come and they have a baby, their baby has a place to sit besides just in their arms, right? That helps people enjoy their meal. So little things like that, like, do we need more serving dishes? And so it's helping me also to, I feel like, hopefully become a better host and create a really meaningful experience for the people that come into our home. So that's going on. We started our homeschool co-op, which feels... I'm like, are we really starting back up again? I feel like we were waiting for homeschooling to start again. And then now that it's here, I'm like, oh no, am I ready? Am I ready for this? But we're just really excited to be back with all of our friends in our homeschool community and to make sure that we get to community and dropping my daughter off daily for dance and all the things in style. We actually bought a new car and I finally pulled the trigger to get a minivan. I did. We actually bought a minivan today. The day I'm recording, not necessarily the day that this comes out. So I'm really happy with my new minivan. It's very beautiful. And, I never thought I would, but now that we have it, the kids are like, oh my goodness, Mom, this is so spacious. And we're very, very happy that we made this decision. Now, in business, things have still been moving along. Even though I took time off from the podcast and I took a little bit of time off from emailing my list, I'm still coaching and, I'm holding calls and I'm still kind of doing things in my business. I find for me that staying consistent really helps to maintain that momentum and that rhythm. I did lean back quite a bit, which has felt really good. And one of the ways that I leaned back was that I decided to push back the next launch of the Family Fueled CEO Mastermind. I was going to launch it this month in August. And I don't know what I was thinking. This is like typical Kate, where I look at the calendar and I'm like, yep, I'm going to just stick it on those dates because that's when the next launch should be. And sometimes I forget to actually look at what's happening in my life and to think about my available energy and capacity and all of that. And toward the end of July, I started looking ahead to August, realizing we were going to be traveling. We were going to be starting school. And I thought, why did I think this was a good idea? And I just want to encourage you that just because you make a plan in home or business doesn't mean you have to stick to it if you realize it's no longer in alignment for you. And so I gave myself that permission to push back the launch. I did have a couple of days where I just went round and round in my mind and I overthought it and I felt bad, like, oh, people are expecting me to open this up. And then I thought, you know what? I teach a family first way of doing business. And if I disregard my own family and my own needs to launch the Family Fueled CEO, that doesn't make sense, right? That's not in integrity. So it's going to be reopening in October, which is just giving me the breathing room to plan for the launch and just, be prepared to welcome in the next group of women. The next round won't even be officially starting until January because I thought it's going to be really great to start the new year. And likewise, I wanted to have December completely off because I want to be able to spend the holidays with my family. So just know that you can also design your business this way too. You can design your business to give you breaks when you need them most. And we all know as moms that August, December, and May tend to be the busiest months of the year. Let me know if that's your experience too. And so why not plan your business to slow down during those periods or any other periods of the year that you find are particularly full for your family and you want to lean back in your business. So I gave myself that permission to rest, to focus on my family. But the current round of the mastermind is going so well. And I love these women so much. I feel so honored to support them, to be on their team. And they are having some incredible big wins. Like one of the women who is pretty new in business, I think she started her business at the end of last year. She had her first 5-figure month in July, which was huge, right? So huge. We all celebrated it. And she is on pace to double that for this month, for August. So I should be hearing from her in the next few days to see how it went. And all of this is happening as she is starting homeschooling for the first time. Another one of the women signed a big deal client as she's transitioned to a slightly different niche. And then she re-signed them for more time. All of this happening while she's been navigating some big changes in her personal life. Another one of the women migrated her website to a new platform. She redesigned it. It looks so beautiful. She's taught herself all of these tech skills that she's needed while being a mom of 5. And another one of the members sold out 40 spots that she had available for a cruise retreat that she is hosting. And because of that, she's going to do a whole nother cohort. She's opening up more spots while she's honoring her need for rest and not pushing too hard in her business and figuring out how to have that like beautiful balance between her needs, her family's needs, and her business. So a lot of exciting things have been happening. Life is very full. Life is moving pretty quickly. I want to leave you with just a few thoughts around balancing home and business, if you're just feeling this in this season of life too. So here's a couple of things. One, you don't need to be perfect. If you're anything like me or like many of the women that I serve, you tend to be hard on yourself. You tend to expect a lot out of you. You often think that you're not good enough. And consequently, this leads to perfectionism. And I'm just here to remind you, it doesn't have to be perfect to be good. It just doesn't have to be. So when you notice that in yourself, just say, hey, I can do B- work here. It's going to be all good. It's going to be good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. This will give you so much more freedom. Another thing too is just being aware of how you want to focus your time every single day. And so having a plan for the day, you set that the night before, or you get up early in the morning and you figure it out, but not winging each day. This will give you so much peace of mind. One of my mastermind clients has a system that she uses. It's called AnyDo, and I've used it for a couple of years now, and then I got her turned on to it, and she hadn't been using it for a while. And this was impacting her ability to get done all of the things that she needs to do, as a busy mom and business owner. And so she started using AnyDo again to really tell her time, where to go, and her productivity has shot through the roof. So this is just your loving reminder to, be clear, be intentional with how you want to use your time. And then finally, you can't do it all. I know you know this, but you just can't. You can't. You can't say yes to everything. When people ask you to, take on this committee or take on this responsibility or meet for coffee or do this play day or chaperone the field trip or join the PTA or whatever they ask you to do, this is just your reminder. You don't have to. And if it conflicts with your family's time, and it's not truly one of your values, you can say no, and nobody will be mad at you. It's true. Nobody will be mad at you, but you don't want to get in a position where you say yes to too much, and then you feel resentful, and you feel burnt out, and you feel tired, and you can't take care of you, and you can't take care of your family. So guard your yeses, okay? All right. I think that's it for this episode. I hope that this was a good one for you. I hope that you got some gems out of it. If you enjoyed it, would you leave me a review? It takes just 2 minutes. On Apple, you can also leave one on Spotify, and just let me know what you love about the podcast. Feel free to send me an email, say hello. I always love hearing from you. As always, you can find free resources and more about coaching with me on my website at happierinmotherhood.com. I will see you next week.